Let me tell you about the test. First, before the shook, before the confused, before the why you didn't, because the test is where everything begins. And understanding the test completely changes everything about how you understand what happened after you didn't chase. In the shook and confused form that this reading is describing, as the current state of the person who tested you and who received a result they were not expecting, in the specific and destabilizing form of someone who designed a test and had the test produce something other than what the test was designed to produce. The test was designed to produce the chase. That did not come. And the not coming of the chase is the specific and destabilizing thing that has produced the shook and confused. That the title is describing as the current interior state of the person who is now sitting with the result of the test they designed and ran and watched produce the unexpected result of no chase. Welcome, and let me tell you everything. Why do people test? In the romantic and relational context, in the specific form of pulling back or creating distance or doing something that they expect the other person to respond to in a particular and reassuring way. That the testing is designed to elicit before the person doing the testing is willing to be more fully present in the connection they are testing. The testing happens because the person doing the testing is afraid, not of you or of the connection specifically, but of the investment. That being fully present in the connection would require of them. In the exposed and unprotected form of someone who is genuinely in something, without the protective buffer of the test, that gives them information about how much the other person wants the connection before committing to the investment. That the genuine presence would require. The test is a hedge. In the emotional and relational sense of someone who wants to know what they are getting into before they are fully in it, in the way that hedges reduce risk by not committing fully until the information that reduces the risk of commitment has been gathered and assessed and found sufficient to justify the full commitment. That the genuine presence would represent what information was the test trying to gather, specifically in the form of whether you would chase. The test was designed to answer the question that the person testing you most needed answered before they were willing to be more fully present in the connection between you, which is this question. Do they want me enough to come after me when I create the distance? That gives them the opportunity to demonstrate the wanting in the active and pursuing form of someone who chases, rather than in the passive and waiting form of someone who simply remains available without the active demonstration that the chasing would provide. I want to say something about this question, specifically because it is a question that reveals something important about the person asking it. In the form of the test, they designed to answer it, the question assumes that the wanting is most accurately measured by the chasing, by the active pursuit of the created distance in the specific and visible form of someone who closes the gap that the test created by the movement of their own body or words or presence toward the thing they want, rather than by remaining where they were. When the gap was created in the waiting and still form of someone who did not chase, the assumption is that chasing equals wanting, and not chasing equals not wanting, or wanting insufficiently, or wanting in a form that does not meet the threshold of the wanting the test was designed to reveal. In the chasing form that the test was expecting to produce, this assumption is one of the most common and most incorrect in the landscape of how wanting is assessed in the relational and romantic context, because chasing and wanting are not the same thing, and not chasing does not mean not wanting. It means something entirely different about the person who is not chasing, that the test was not designed to identify, because it was designed around the wrong assumption about what the chasing would reveal and what the not chasing would mean. In the form of the chase that confirms the yes, by the physical evidence of someone pursuing rather than staying still when the distance was created to see what the other person would do with the distance between them and the thing they want. When the distance was deliberately introduced by the person who created it to see what the other person would do. You did not chase. And what the not chasing produced in the person who was expecting the chase is what the shook and confused is describing in its specific and interior form. I want to describe what the shook and confused actually looks like from the inside of the person experiencing it, because shook and confused are two different things, and understanding each of them separately gives a fuller picture of what is happening in the interior of the person who designed the test and received the unexpected result. The shook is first, and it is the specific and physical form of someone whose prediction about what would happen was so completely wrong that the wrongness of it has destabilized something in the way they understand the situation. And the person they were testing and their own reading of what was happening between them and you before the test was run and the prediction was made, that was so wrong in the specific and shook producing form of something that was the opposite of what was predicted. The shook is the destabilization of the interpretive framework that the test was supposed to confirm by producing the expected result, and that instead has been called into question by the unexpected result of the no chase. That was the opposite of the expected chase in the specific and destabilizing form of someone whose reading of the situation has been shown to be wrong by the result of the test they designed to confirm the reading they had that the test has instead contradicted. The confused is different from the shook and comes after it in the specific and following form of someone who is now asking a series of questions that the shook has generated about what the no chase means and what it says about you, and what it says about the connection between you and what they should do now. In the aftermath of a test, that produced an unexpected result. That requires interpretation before a next step can be identified and taken in the specific and forward form of someone who needs to understand what happened. Before they can decide what to do next, I want to tell you what questions the confused is asking, because the specific questions are the most revealing part of the shook and confused state for understanding what is actually happening in the person who designed the test and is now sitting with the result they did not expect. The first question the confused is asking is, do they not want me in the specific and worried form of someone who is now uncertain about something they were certain of? Before the test produced the result, that called the certainty into question. In the shook and confused form of someone who thought they knew and now is not sure what they know about the specific question of whether the wanting that the chase was supposed to demonstrate is actually present in you, or whether the no chase is evidence of a wanting that is less than the test was expecting to reveal in the form of the confirmation that the chase would have provided and that the no chase has not provided. The second question the confused is asking is, did I misread what was between us, in the specific and disorienting form of someone who is revisiting their interpretation of the preceding interactions between them and you, and wondering if what they were reading as the evidence of your wanting them was actually that, or something else that they were misinterpreting as the evidence they thought it was. Before the test produced the result, that called the interpretation into question. This is the most uncomfortable question the confused is asking, because it requires a revisiting of the recent history between you, from the position of someone who is no longer certain that they were reading it correctly. And that revisiting is happening right now in the confused interior of the person who designed the test and is now doing the uncomfortable work of reconsidering what they thought they knew about what was between you before the test revealed that what they thought they knew may not be as certain as the test was supposed to confirm it was. And the third question the confused is asking is, what do I do now? In the specific and practical form of someone who ran a test that was supposed to provide clarity about what to do next, and that has instead produced uncertainty about everything that the test was supposed to confirm, before the next step could be confidently taken in the direction the confirmation was pointing. What do I do now? Is the question that is going to produce, in the near and specific future, a reaching out, in whatever form the reaching out takes, for the specific person in the specific situation. When the confusion about what the no chase means becomes more uncomfortable, then the discomfort of reaching out to find out directly what the no chase was about, the reaching out is coming as the natural result of the confusion becoming more uncomfortable than the asking of the direct question. That would resolve the confusion, one way or the other. In the specific and arriving form of someone who needs to know what the no chase means before they can decide what they want to do about the connection between you, that the test was supposed to clarify, and that has instead confused in the specific and arriving reaching out form of someone who will make contact when the confusion has exceeded their capacity to sit with it without resolution. Now I want to speak to you about your not chasing, because the not chasing is the most important thing. In everything I have described so far, and the most revealing thing about who you are, in the specific and Virgo adjacent form of someone who understood something about their own value that the test was hoping you had not yet understood about yourself. When it created the distance to see if you would chase, you did not chase because you understood in the specific and grounded form of someone who knows their value well enough to not perform the wanting in the chasing form that the test was designed to elicit as the evidence of the wanting that the test was looking for. The not chasing was not indifference. I want to say that clearly, because the shook and confused person is currently wondering if the not chasing was indifference, and it was not. It was self-possession in the specific and grounded form of someone who does not perform the wanting in the chasing form, because the wanting does not require the performance of it for someone who knows their value and who therefore does not reduce themselves to the chasing position of someone who is demonstrating their want by pursuing something that has deliberately created distance to see if the pursuing would follow. The not chasing was the answer. I know who I am, and I do not chase in the specific and self-possessed form of someone who understands that their value does not require demonstration through pursuing what has created distance to see if the pursuing would follow. That answer is the thing that produced the shook in its most specific and revealing form, because the shook is the recognition that they were testing someone who did not need to be tested in the specific and rare form of someone who was already past the place where the test was trying to assess them. In the self-knowledge dimension that the test was designed to probe before they discovered from the result of the test that the probing was unnecessary, because the person they were testing already knew what the test was testing for and did not need the test to demonstrate what they knew. In the chasing form, that the test was designed to produce. You were past the test, and the shook is the recognition of that by the person who designed the test and ran it and discovered from its result that the person they were testing was already past what the test was assessing. The confused will resolve into a reaching out that arrives at you in the specific and direct form of someone who has decided that the direct approach is the only available approach for someone who has tested and been surprised by the result and needs to understand the result before the next move can be made in whatever direction the result is pointing. When the reaching out arrives, receive it from the same self-possessed position that produced the not chasing in the specific and grounded form of someone who knows who they are and what they want and what they will and will not do in the pursuit of a connection that tests them rather than choosing them in the direct and undistanced form that the connection deserves from the person entering it. I want to speak about what the self-possessed position requires of you when the reaching out arrives. Because self-possession in the receiving of contact from someone who tested you and is now shook and confused is not the same as coldness or the performed indifference of someone who is making the person who tested them feel the distance they created in the punishing form of someone who is showing that they can create distance to, in response to the distance that was created by the test that did not produce the expected chase. Self-possession in the receiving of contact is warmth from the grounded place rather than the performed place or the cold place of someone who is managing the interaction from the position of someone who was tested and who is now relating to the tester from the specific and somewhat managed position of someone whose primary orientation is toward the fact of having been tested rather than toward the person who is reaching out in the shook and confused form of someone who is trying to understand what the result of their test means for the connection between you. Be warm and be real and be the grounded version of yourself that did not chase, not because you were performing self-possession, but because you actually have it in the real and steady form of someone who knows who they are and receives people from that knowing rather than from the reactive position of someone who is responding to the test rather than to the person who ran it and is now shook and confused and reaching out from the authentic place of someone who needed to know what the no chase meant before they could decide what they wanted to do next, with the connection between you that the test was always trying to understand before it was willing to be fully in it. And the not chasing was the most powerful thing you could have done for the specific situation between you and this person, in the way that self-possession is always the most powerful available position for someone who knows their value and does not perform it. In the chasing form, that tests are designed to elicit as the performance of value that the testing person was looking for and did not get because you already knew what the test was testing for and knew that the chase was not the answer. The shook is confirmation that your not chasing was the right answer in the most direct form available of the test result, confirming what your self-possession already knew before the test was designed and run and found you past the place it was trying to assess you at.